rescue boys, but Jim touched on some of those. We did spend considerable amount of time in that 3.5-hour financial review. One, us gaining some understanding around, from a business standpoint, you take a step back and you understand all of your income. And we looked at that $4.1 million increase in our budget. We placed a man on Superintendent Knighty, I want you to understand that. So we've got a pretty significant transition that we've got to get through. And we've committed the community that we're going to complete the project the right way. And that's where some of the money's gone to. We've also asked him to look at staffing. If we've got some positions that we need the staff to get us through this piece of it, and there are some additional positions in those public counselors at the high school, and they'll be reevaluated late next year. And to look at all the different demands that are placed on the system, but really to help us through this transition, we've committed as a board to make sure that we complete this as promised to the community without going back to the taxpayers for one penny. We've not gone back. We've absorbed a $14 million increase in this since 2004. My tenure on this board, and I echo Jim's comments, we have worked very hard to make sure that we've done whatever we could at the local level to make sure that we increased both teacher and service personnel salaries and benefits. You have a premium free dental plan. We absorb the cost increases of those premiums. You also need to understand that as well. And when you look at the total math of it, the increase, that's why the last meeting we talked about the $4.1 million increase, about 75 to 78% of it is dedicated salary increases. The teachers are getting anywhere from $1,600 to $4,000 increases if they are in that matrix that they populated this year for the first time in this year. They get part of the matrix. And our service personnel. And I think we can't afford to pay you what you're worth. Frankly, we can't afford to pay you what you're worth. Because I know the type of commitments that the teachers make. We know what your educational status is. We all wish we had a different funding source. We're largely funded outside of the local area. And we have done. Because my 4 years on the board, we have been able to grant local increases on top of anything the state might be able to do. We've been at about a 90% level from the growth in our local levies, and so we've done that. Well, 70% was our goal, but we've been at about the 90% level. But, yeah, this is a tough year. Some of the recent information we've gotten around the uncertainty of the next few months with our energy. We're all dealing with that. All of us are dealing with the increased prices of fuel, the increased prices of energy in your system. We don't know what the next 12 months is going to bring, so we've allocated an extra close to $600,000 in energy increases with our school system. We're trying to run this year with a very responsible and fiscally responsible budget in a very uncertain time. And it absolutely, if we're not able this year to provide an increase at the local level, while you are getting it at the state level, and I'm tickled to death that the governor and the legislature have done that. It's not a reflection on the fact that we don't care about you, we don't value you as employees. This will be my first experience if we don't do it, of saying no this year. Let us get through this transition, help us with the additional staffing we have, and additional costs that we have to go through that. But if you look at the economics, simple economics, here's your income, here's your expenses, and say, what can you afford? If we were to grant an increase this year, we have to take it from somewhere. And I would look for Mr. Little and Mr. Knight and say, where's it going to come from? When the coaches' increases were mentioned earlier, about $80,000. But then you have to start looking at, are we not going to complete the budget? The building project is promised. We're not going to increase the staff. You're going to have to take it from somewhere because we already have 80% of this increase dedicated to salary benefits. So we've got to figure out where you're going to take it from. And that's what we have to do. It's got to come from somewhere to do that, beyond what we've already done. And I do understand the spirit of and the intent of both the House bill and the Senate bill. And we understand this 541 is spread out over 5 years because the state, frankly, couldn't afford to lay out $69 million in 1 year. I can't speak for talking about future elections and those types of things. You all have opinions there. But I believe that this board has kept teachers and our staff close to heart in everything that we've done, because we know that this county thrives on the learning process that you provide to our kids. And if you feel you have to come and echo this comment to myself or anybody else here, it hurts a little, but I understand where you're coming from, because everybody likes to better themselves economically. I understand that. If you feel you need to do that, that is your free will. Right?
Mr. Marlowe, I have some comments. I didn't fill out a white card. Should I fill one out?
Please do so that we can have your name on record.
Okay. I just have one more thing, so.
But I guess just in closing, from my standpoint, is I will do what I feel. I come from a business background, and I look at things very deeply. And I too was disappointed that the WDEA and the school service personnel, and Greg was here for the first hour of the 3.5 hours, that you weren't here with us. We had a lot of in-depth dialogue about what are we going to do to make it through this next year, and what are the demands. I was disappointed that you weren't here to have that same learning experience that we did as board members. That's an opportunity for the board, for the departmental heads, for the teachers, and the service personnel associations, and the general public to all get on the same page. Obviously, this reflects it's a matter of trust. Reflecting you don't trust what we put together as a budget, a fiscally responsible budget, is correct. And you're sending a message to us that there's something we need to be reallocating or giving up and to give you the increase. That probably disturbs me more than anything else as hard as we worked as board members to establish that trust. And this community needs to understand that I will continue to uphold my fiscal responsibilities as a board member and balancing the needs of the system to create the best environment for our kids. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Walcott. Mr. Fox, I'll keep this very brief. Yeah, this is for everyone, including Mr. Morgenstern. I really appreciate your passion, Mr. Morgenstern, and your philosophy and trying to better the teacher morale in this county, because I share your, frankly, I share your opinion that we need to address. I have a personal interest also in education in this county. I have 2 children here. Unlike yourself, I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old here that actually attend school here. I also have a brother who's a teacher here in this county. So I'm sure that and you have those interests in other counties somewhere in West Virginia, but I want to reassure you, I have also that interest. It goes beyond just being a board member. It's also a parent and brother. But I can assure you that I take your comments very seriously, and I do appreciate your passion.
And I appreciate that, and let me just say that you don't have to be from Wood County to recognize the value of public education. I have children in public education in other counties, but you don't have to be from Wood County to recognize that. And I appreciate your comments, but let me just say my last comment, Board Member Alcott, which is that for so many years we've come before the Board of Education, and yes, you all have been responsive to certain years, but we come before the board and we ask for things, and you all said our hearts are with you. Just because we're saying no, it means we don't have the money. It doesn't mean we don't value you enough. So that's what made this time so painful, is the fact that not only do we Senate Bill 541 money, but we also were able to pass a school aid formula bill that gives the counties more money. And so for now, you all say, I'm sorry, you don't have the money. It just rings hollow.
Okay, we just received 2 more speaker cards. I will permit them to speak at this time. Mr. Mayor, would you like to come forward?
Thank you for letting me answer my part. I just want to comment on a few things that I've heard. First of all, thank you for noticing that I was here that night, okay? Because I felt completely invisible. I felt as if nothing I would have to say would have been heard. Because it seemed like it wasn't a meeting to discuss with the public. It seemed like more like a meeting to present what had been laid out. And there was another AFT member here that night, by the way. There were two of the from AFT. And I left early to shoot me the entire time. So, I want to make something first of all. Secondly, I want to say that, you know, I, as AFT president locally, and Vicki serving in her capacity, or Paula serving in her capacity, we have full-time jobs. We are not paid lobbyists. We're not really very good at it. You know, we just do what we can do. And when we can't make a board meeting, or when we can't make a public meeting, maybe it's because we're tired, or because we just had a really hard day, or we, you know, been to the previous 30 meetings before that. And when we recently canceled our most recent AFT meeting, if we ever, or our labor management meeting with Mr. Knighting was canceled recently, when we do that, it's not because we don't want to hear from him. It's because that particular month, we didn't have anything to bring to his table. And whenever I call Mrs. Buzzard and tell her that the meeting doesn't need to be held, I always say to her, if he has anything to say to us, we're welcome, or we're glad to come. But we just have nothing to participate in this particular month. So that's why we canceled that meeting. We had nothing come out of our agenda that needed to be brought to his attention that particular month. So that's the reason for that meeting to be canceled. And I want to say also, and you and I had this discussion, Jim, you told me once that when you were elected to the Board of Education, you expected to be inundated with phone calls all the time. And you said you've been surprised how few phone calls you've received as a board member from the community at large. I think Wood County is full of very nice teachers and very nice employees. They don't want to stir up trouble. They don't want to be the person to, you know, have hard feelings. So you may not hear it, but I've heard it. The last 2 weeks, I have had so many phone calls and so many emails from people that I know, people who are not members of AFT, that just are so upset over this particular issue. And yes, you guys have granted raises in the past, but you know how everybody feels about everything in the entire world. What have you done for me lately? And it's not just Wood County school employees that feel that way. Everybody feels that way about everything.
Frank, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You know, of course, that allow us to do it, you know, I'm glad you stated the fact that this is not your full-time position, because you look at the, of course, 4 board members present tonight. I know how you feel, we know how you feel, because that's not our main job either. And a lot of times we're tired, and,
Right.
you know, we're just, forgiveness, we want to get involved and enjoy it.
And I appreciate that, and that's exactly my philosophy. I see myself as an activist for the community.
And you do a great job.
But I have to be at work every day.
I understand.
I have to teach 6th graders who wear me out almost every single day.
I see how that happens. That's great. You know, when people talk to you about the history, and you say, you know, and you acknowledge the fact, it's not what you did for me yesterday, when you did for me today, explain to them also that what we have done.
Believe me, yeah. I mean,
What do they say?
A lot of these teachers have been around for a long time in this county, and I mean, because I've been around for 86, the people that have been around even in the 70s, they talk about all the years in which Wood County teachers received nothing on the county level. They always mention that to me. You know, they always mention it. And it's all, I think some of them have reached a level of cynicism about it.
For the last 6 years, that's been the case.
True.
So what do they say about that?
Well, I think for some of them, I have to say, they think the attitude is too late.
That's unfortunate, because it wasn't really a decision I could be a board member when I was in school, so.
But you ask them what they say, I mean, that's what they think.
Yeah.
That's my response to you for what they say.
Yeah, I understand. I was just curious.
And as far as other counties doing this, I mean, I sit on the state executive board for AFT, and we hear all the time about what other counties are doing. And lots of counties this year and last year are using Senate Bill 541 money for local pay raise, or funding a an optical plan or funding a visual plan, that kind of thing. It is going on in the cities.
Certainly, I hope that when you're having these discussions, you let them know that, you guys were in the last board meeting and the budget meeting that, and we're not shutting the door on this. It's just, we feel like we're in a position where we just, like Rick said, working to find a money for the rates right now.
I understand.
So, I mean, if there's a place where we can find it, let us know. You guys, the expectations, I mean, I'm sure you guys, I saw it as a budget too, I know you guys have, pretty analytical, you got through it, and you had a rep here that night. Where could we get it? We would apologize for that, personally.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are people here examining the budget right now who might find a line item that they could suggest something that's.
That's the same quandary we're in. I know everybody appreciates that.
I wish that I could answer you more clearly. I feel like I should have an answer to you right now.
I wish I had an answer to.
But I guess the thing is, I remember after the budget meeting, I remember emailing my staff rep, Rosemary Jenkins, and I said to her, I have to leave before the end of the meeting, but I'm sure they're going to give us a raise. And then I read in the paper,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I feel like we are being put on the spot here, which is fine. Are we entering into? I'm just curious if anybody has an idea of where we can get it.
well, thank you for letting me speak.
Thanks.
Good evening, Mr. Marlowe, board members, Mr. Kennedy. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chuck Root. I am Vice President of Wood County School Service Personnel. I've also been elected to the Executive State Committee for Service Personnel. I've been listening to what everyone's saying and love it would be repeat on my part. There's a few things that really come up. And Mr. Fox mentioned about you're telling me you've been here for 6 years, I've been here for 15 years. And I can remember when gas used to be $1.45 a gallon. It's gone up 45 cents in the last 2 weeks. I'm getting phone calls at home from a lot of people, many of them are subs, asking, how can I afford to get to work? I can't afford the gas going from Belleville to Jackson Junior High, or from Williamstown all the way to Underhand. And these people are hurt. And a lot of them are people that have already lost their jobs when the plant shutting down. And they're only part-time. They're only subs. We need the help. But what they're talking now, they're talking $4 a gallon like in Memorial Day. And we're almost there now. It really isn't. The money has to be spent, okay? You're talking this $14 million. The last two budgets I've looked over, I didn't see an extra $14 million anywhere. Where'd it come from? Did anybody answer me that? It had to come from someplace. If you took it out of some line item somewhere, and it wasn't identified properly, or we could have picked up on it. That's a lot of money to be stuck in the budget. One thing, about the increase of your utilities and your fuel, if this keeps on going, you need to start thinking about a 4-day work week. How much fuel will you save by shutting the budget down 1 day a week? All right? As far as I know, there's nothing in the state law that says the kids can't go to school for 9 hours a day, 4 days a week, to make up for that last month. You can still have school Tuesday through 5. You'll have your ball games on Friday night. If there's something scheduled for during the week, they run buses for them anyway. That's about all I have to say. Go, Mr.
Mr.
made me feel like we were trying to hide something from the public.
No.
And, you've got to understand, we're on edge here tonight as well, because we want to be able to say yes to everything. This year, it's just not going to happen, according to the information that we have. The $14 million, Mr. Little does, revisions on the budget, every meeting that we have construction updates, we go through and discuss where that money will be coming from. So we have never tried to hide anything, especially where that will be came from.
I missed the good part watching where Jim Fox was berating you, but I've got the whole rest of the building meeting is video, so
Great.
I'll email it down.
Okay.
So, if you need it.
Okay, very good.
What's happening right now, this afternoon, Steve, where you have to. How do you know what they're doing? You need to take a walk through and see what actually going on, instead of listening to the stuff. That's all I can say.
Mr. Lardy, the $710,607 that, keeps.
That's the figure Mr. Panetta puts out for his office. Yeah.
Can you explain to everybody here as well as the board members again, why and where that money actually is and how much we are actually getting?
If you look at our budget and you look at our revenue, you'll see it's part of our revenue, and if you compare the final comps from 07, 08 to 08, 09, the local share payback in 07, 08 was $15,490,348. The local share on our final comps for the 08, 09 budget is $14,934,209. So in actual difference in revenue from 07, 08 to 08, 09 on the budget, that's $556,139. I understand the figures that Mr. Panetta put out, but what we look at is what our total revenue is, and go through the revenue, then look at what the total expenses are, and then see what we have left. And part of the revenue, there was an increase in revenue in local share. That is correct. But there was also a decrease in revenue this year, in our estimated revenue, and it is in a Medicaid payback where we can bill for services that we provide. And if you look in the budget, last year there was I believe it was $2 million worth of revenue that we had on Medicaid reimbursement. This year's reimbursement on Medicaid is estimated at 1.5, so that's a difference of $500,000. And the reason that it's less is because the federal government they are wanting to stop reimbursing us for transportation services. Now, there is a bill in the legislature that Representative Mollahan supported, and my understanding is Senator Rockefeller will sponsor and support. It has passed the House. I don't believe it's passed the Senate, but I also understand it's going to be vetoed by the President, and then we'll see whether or not Congress can overturn the veto. And if that's the case, there's a 1-year moratorium on the reimbursement on transportation, which would be through April of 09, I believe is exactly what it is when the moratorium would end, but they would have time to renegotiate and to look at that. So right now, we have to estimate that we're going to have $500,000 less in revenue because right now it's not there. Hopefully that will change, but I can't guarantee that. But again, the differences in local share that Mr. Marlowe asked about, we're looking at as in our revenue stream and the difference between the 07, 08 final comps and numbers we get and the 08, 09 comps and final numbers that we get.
John's pretty good point, too. I mean, I think,
this discussion really has to include, the discussion, the concept of what a budget is. A budget is a fluid document. It's a process. It's not carved in stone. It's not etched out where we cannot adjust it as we go along. A budget really, if you're to this sense, is a forecast of what we're going to be getting, right? Forecast. So, if our forecast is off a little bit, and certainly if conditions improve, such as legislation passed in the Senate and the House, if they can override a presidential veto, which looks likely, and Senator Rockefeller has sponsored that legislation already. I believe it's in Congress right now. And what it'll do, it goes to the House, it goes to the Senate, it goes to a joint committee passes legislation, and then it's actually voted on in the House again as a bill, and it goes to the president signs. So that would be $500,000 extra. I don't know if I'm losing people on that or not. They're going to hear that. That would be another $500,000, $500,000 that's actually injected into our budget that we would not have now. I would certainly be open to, as I say, this is a fluid document. I would certainly be open to raises based on the fact that money is put back in our budget. It's free and stored. I would be open to that. I don't know if we would entertain that or not. I certainly would.
Anytime we as a board give a salary increase of any type to an employee, we have to be able to then sustain that from that point forward for years to come. And to be fiscally responsible to the taxpayers of this county at this time with this budget, I don't believe that we can do that. Now, as you say, if funds do become available down the road, I am very receptive to looking at the monies that come in to see if we can sustain it and possibly offer a pay raise as we have done in the past 4 years. We are going through a tough time. Right now with the transition as well as the construction. And I believe in my heart of hearts, once we get through this, we will be able to seriously look at providing some form of a plan for a raise as we have in the past 4 or 5 years.
In speaking to the sustainability of a raise that you mentioned, the last, in the 2004-05, 05-06, 06-07, and 07-08 years, where we gave raises each of those years, that totaled $950, and at an annual cost of $1.839 million. So each year, that is figured in the budget. So those raises over the last 4 years, each year will continue to cost $1,839,037.15. So, and each time we give that kind of raise, you have to guarantee that that money is not only there this year, but it's there next year, and it's there the year after, because you're making an obligation. And we have, like I say, those were the 04, 05, 05, 06, 06, 07, and 07, 08 school years, and I feel good that we've been able to do that over those 4 years.
That doesn't include the sick leave punishment.
No. No.
Okay, I have no more speaker cards. Does any of the board members have any more comments concerning the public hearing on the budget? Having none, let's move on. Thank you all for your concerns and comments.
I guess the evening also to distribute my evaluation instrument, so if you want to share that, like some other we do have that, and I would like to ask the board how you want to proceed.